Hi guys, this is gsmdon.com and I'm here with a handset called the Allview X3 Soul Mini, and we're here to perform a full review of this device. So this model was launched in early February, and Allview is a Romanian company, so this device has an Eastern European branding. It's called the Allview X3 Soul Mini, and when I first saw it, it reminded me a lot of the iPhone 5 and iPhone 5S, maybe with a bit of a touch from the HTC One initial devices. As you can see, it has very narrow bezels, and this model is priced at $208, so quite affordable. As far as the design goes, we're dealing with a metal unibody approach. It resembles an iPhone, as I said before, and it's fantastically light, one of the lightest phones I've ever held in my hand. It's as if it were hollow inside. Anyway, it measures 7.2 millimeters in thickness and weighs 129 grams, and these make it a bit thicker and heavier than the Samsung Galaxy A5 that measures 6.7 millimeters in thickness and weighs 123 grams. Its edges are slightly rounded, and it's a very comfy phone, very elegant, has an excellent grip, and is very easy to use with a single hand like I'm doing right now. This design is very nice to look at and also to admire from the sides, from the back, from the front, and other than that, it's 0.1 millimeters thicker than the iPhone 6s, but it's also lighter, which is quite a compliment. Up front we find the 2.5D screen panel, and this has to be the best looking Allview phone we've seen so far. Now, as far as the hardware is concerned, what we're getting here is a 5-inch IPS LCD screen with a 1280 over 720 pixel resolution. It's a bright, crisp and clear screen, but you don't have to believe me because we have a video test for you to see. So as I said before, bright, crisp, clear, vivid colors. We got wide viewing angles, and the big black edges are probably the only thing that make it less than perfect. So you can see those edges all around the image are a bit of a bummer. Okay, other than that, I have to say that the contrast is quite okay, and the details in sunlight have no problem, and the pixels we're dealing with here are of the RGB stripe kind, which can be seen under the microscope. We also used the lux meter to measure the brightness, and we were quite impressed. We achieved 405 lux units, which is great. This means we beat the likes of the Sony Xperia Z3 and the OnePlus One, for example. This is a great display, really not much to object here, maybe aside from the black edges. And this very same screen has some special tweaks, which you can find here in the MiraVision section. You can change picture mode from standard, vivid and user mode, and in user mode you can tweak contrast, saturation, brightness, sharpness, color temperature and dynamic contrast, or you can go back to the standard mode, which is the best calibrated one. So once again, great screen aside from the borders. If you want to talk about raw performance, well, I'm going to have to make an example out of Mortal Kombat X while I'm talking about the CPU and the works. So inside the phone we have a quad-core MediaTek MT6735 processor clocked at 1.3 GHz. It's a 64-bit CPU accompanied by 1 GB of RAM, 16 GB of storage and a microSD card slot, which offers up to 128 GB support. It's actually the second SIM slot pulled from this tray. The phone has no lag, has a very fluid user interface, and games such as Riptide GP2 and Mortal Kombat X work without a problem, although Mortal Kombat X takes a bit to load, but after the initial loading it works just fine. Speaking of games, after playing the game Riptide GP2 for 15 minutes, we achieved a temperature of 34.6 degrees Celsius, so there is no overheating here. Okay, so here we go, we get some gameplay here. The game looks okay, as I said before, there is no lag, no problem. You can run even newer games like Asphalt 8, FIFA titles, Mortal Kombat X and whatever else you fancy, although that 1 GB of RAM may not be enough if there's a new Asphalt game over the next year or so. And as I said before, the interface is pretty fluid and there is no lag, even though I have Mortal Kombat X open in the background. And no overheating, which is always good news for a metallic phone. As usual, we talk less and less about benchmarks and define them as a bulk. And overall I have to say that this model tends to beat the Samsung Galaxy A5 and the Huawei P8 Lite in the benchmarks. If you take them all and compare them to those devices, you'll see those results. And the scores are very similar to the ones of the Allview X3 Soul Lite, which has similar specs to this model. Okay, we're done with the performance. Time to talk about the acoustics. We have apparently two speakers here. Well, only this one is the speaker. This is only for the sake of symmetry. And we have two musical apps. We got music and we got play music. And music is kind of old looking. Now let's see. We got here sound effects, which are these ones, pretty much like the stock ones, so nothing fancy, but let's actually listen to a tune. Okay, so I have to say that the volume doesn't feel very high, and I'd say it's a mid-level volume with an okay bass, okay clarity, and the good high notes can be heard. And we also tested the experience with a decibel meter, and let's see what came out of that. Here we go. In the download section we reached a pretty disappointing 78.6 decibels, which made sound unimpressive because it's less than 80, but when we use the game Riptide GP2 and the decibel meter, surprise, 88 decibels. So when you're listening to music, only 78. When you're watching videos or playing games, it can go very high, so volume is a mixed bag. And it's not a single setting here, we have more. We have those special sound enhancements like BES audio enhance for earphones, for the speaker, loudness enhancing, surround, and then we got the lossless Bluetooth mode. So overall a mixed bag. For games you should be happy with the volume, for music not very happy. We also have FM radio available here as an app, but no headphones were bundled with the Allview X3 Soul Mini. Now as far as the camera is concerned, this is a 5 megapixel selfie shooter, and the main camera is a 30 megapixel unit with an LED flash, and from what I know, it's the same sensor as the one of the Samsung Galaxy S4, if my research is correct. And the camera user interface, well, if you've seen an Allview phone before, you've seen them all, they all have pretty much the same interface. What bothered me is the fact that it takes a long while to focus and to take pictures, and the folks of Allview have been promoting the picture-in-picture a lot. So basically you can get your face in this area here and integrate it within the main shot. That's one of the core features of the phone. Then we got these effects to play with, and then the usual capture modes. We also have a multi-angle shot, we have a panorama. Here at the top we also have slow motion video capture, there's HDR, and the usual suspects, the usual settings. Not very many capture modes. We won't insist on that, and as usual we have a pretty reasonable gallery. I'd say 75 pictures. One thing they all have in common is the fact that the images are a bit bluish and the colors are totally oversaturated. Here you can see the HDR exaggerates with the white and oversaturated colors, bluish hue. It was a very rainy day when I took those shots, so those circumstances may save the camera a bit. Very vivid colors, that's the picture-in-picture shot. We have a good panorama, some blurry attempts at shooting footage in the park. We also took some crisp selfies, and this is a pretty decent close-up. Of course, you'll be able to see much more of these shots in the full text review. And as I said before, we took one or two good selfies, so I'm happy with the selfie camera, maybe even more than I am with the back camera. Close-ups look okay, and there are some focusing problems. It takes time to focus properly. Other than that, we also shot video. Don't expect very much video here because it's 3GPP, my least favorite format for shooting video. At least the bitrate is decent at 17 mega per second. And this is one of the clips. A bit shaky, the colors look very artificial, oversaturated, but okay clarity, okay focus and exposure, and the acoustics were quite good. I keep comparing this phone to the Samsung Galaxy A5 and the Huawei P8 Lite. Well, the P8 Lite didn't film very well, so this is about in the same league, maybe filming a bit better than the Huawei P8 Lite. Now we're done with the camera, time to talk about the browser. This is the stock one, the pre-installed one, and I'm going to access gsmdown.com. Not a fast browser, as you can see. I'd say mid-level speed. Okay, scrolling speed, and this is a pretty compact and well-spaced virtual keyboard, also the stock one from Lollipop. And we cannot talk about the browser without also addressing its tests, and that includes the usual browser mark and SunSpider with pretty poor scores, 1314 browser mark, and this results 1628 in SunSpider, which means the browser is not fast by any means. Now when it comes to connectivity, once again this is a dual SIM phone that makes use of a nano SIM and a micro SIM card slot. One of them works as a micro SD card slot. We got HD voice LTE with up to 150 MB/s download speed. There's Bluetooth 4.0, Wi-Fi 802.11, BGN, micro USB 2.0, Wi-Fi direct. And when it comes to phone calling, I have to say that the signal is quite okay, but the calls are not very loud, but at least they're clear. And if you're planning to doing some downloading via Wi-Fi, which is inevitable, we reached 24 MB/s in download and 21 in upload. Now we're done with the connectivity. Time to talk about the battery. And as far as the battery is concerned, this one here is a lithium polymer 2350 mAh unit that achieved the following scores in our tests. So first things first, when it comes to HD video playback in a loop, 8 hours and 19 minutes is what we achieved, which is excellent for a 5-inch phone. It beats the Huawei Mate S and the Asus Zenfone 2, which is quite a feature. And then we got PC Mark, simulating continuous usage and achieving 6 hours and 34 minutes, also excellent, and surpassing the HTC One A9 and the OnePlus 2, for example. However, both these performances come with a price, a very long charging time, 3 hours and 38 minutes, which is very long for a 5-inch phone, but it runs in the family because the Allview X3 Soul Lite also charges in a bit above 3 hours, so once again it runs in the Allview Soul family. Now it's time to discuss the software, and let's see what that means. That means it's Android 5.1 Lollipop. Allview has kept it all stock, as you can see. They haven't changed much, they haven't changed basically anything. We still have a carousel for multitasking. We still have a drop down area comprised of a few swipe motions, quick settings and a slider and notifications. And the interface is quite fluid. They also haven't messed very much with the widgets, which can be seen here in stock flavor. And the app list luckily does not include bloatware. In total there are 41 apps, and among the new stuff we can find Bitdefender mobile security. There's let's see what else. We got this theme option, themes by Allview, and then the usual Google applications, update over the air, sound recorder, SIM toolkit and voice search. So not much bloatware here, not much bloatware at all. Now I guess it's time for the verdict. This is probably one of the best looking Allview phones ever. It looks like an iPhone, but in some areas it's prettier than an iPhone. One thing is for sure, on the Pro side we got a good looking design, premium materials, we got a very bright screen here that surpasses some of the big shots from last year. The battery is simply excellent, there is no lag, there is no bloatware, we can run games like Mortal Kombat X pretty okay. The selfies look quite good, and the camera, let's say it's just okay for a $200 handset. Now on the cons side, obviously there's the low volume for the music, the fact you only get 1 GB of RAM, and the long charging, plus the strange colors in the pictures and the videos that didn't look very realistic. Okay, so overall it's a great compact phone with a 5-inch screen, a metal unibody chassis, excellent battery and screen. So it's good for movies, it's good for gaming on the go, and it can appeal to the feminine public if you look at its color hues, at how slim it is, how compact it is, and the fact that it takes good selfies and has no lag is certainly a good bonus. So among the 5-inch phones with small prices, well, the Allview X3 Soul Mini stands out, and it's a pretty solid handset for the start of 2016. This is it from gsmdown.com. Bye bye.